Welcome back to Soccer Cards United. It's episode 235 of the greatest soccer card podcast in the world. My name is Jason, that's Enzo, and you join us on a very exciting, historic day in the soccer card hobby, because after years and years and years in the making, more than a decade into the kind of modern soccer card hobby, we now have Topps' first entry into the ultra premium soccer card business with Topps Dynasty. Hello, Enzo. How do you feel?
Hello, Jason. It is Dynasty Day, Dynasty release day. We've had teasers for, I want to say, 2 years.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's a 2022-23 set. Important to say that off the rip, because I think we might get lost in it as we get through it. But it's Dynasty release day. It's the first ultra premium soccer set. Obviously, they've had the Topps Chromes, Jason, which are always kind of singular league, singular teams, should I say. So it's fair to say, apart from Museum, this is the pinnacle of top soccer so far. Is that right?
Well, maybe you'd say team sets, premium, the premium brand.
BBB premium.
Yeah.
Transcendent. There's been Transcendent as well, but not, again, never for a league. It's always been team. So there's been high-end team sets, but I think the highest end non-team set, is it?
Museum, Renaissance.
Yeah, obviously Topps Chrome 2017 became something, but it didn't come out at something,
No, it's not. That wasn't its market segment.
Because it was Showcase maybe back in the day. This is like back Premier Gold, but they're not this. They're not this.
Absolutely.
So it is. It's a big swing. A big swing by Topps. This is the first. And there hasn't been many premium soccer sets, period, from any manufacturer, if you think about it. Obviously, Panini, Immaculate, and Impeccable.
Multiple Immaculates, multiple Impeccables, multiple NTs, multiple Eminences, and
then obviously Flawless. Because Flawless is in its own category. It's almost like Eminence obviously tied to World Cup, so it almost doesn't count, even though it should, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like...
Yeah.
Flawless was really the first of its kind, and there's been similar since, but not quite. Nothing really touching it in the soccer realm.
And we're going to discuss whether or not this new product touches it. At the time of recording, we have seen the UK and European Topps website drops come and go. It came and sold out instantly. And we haven't seen the US drop yet. So we'll see how that goes. But let's have a look at the web page for that drop.
Yeah,
so first
features, of all, can we go on to a European version? I suppose you want to read the English first.
You don't want to read the English version?
No, I said you want to read the English. Yeah, I just wanted the price to be in euro. This is not a UK broadcast.
Well, I suppose £1,115 is about what?
It's €1,300.
€1,300. And so there you go, and you can do the dollar conversion at home if you're playing along. So this is what they say. Topps proud to announce the first ever Dynasty Soccer collection. We knew that. Featuring stars and legends from the UEFA Champions League 22-23. No rookies, as far as I know.
Yeah, a few mystery redemptions, which could feature some rookies, because we do know that season featured Garnacho and Julian Alvarez, but at the time of recording, feels like they're not in there.
Each box contains one autograph relic or autograph card. So that, and again, let's pause again to say that we have never had a Topps Dynasty set in baseball or in Formula One that had cards in it that didn't have patches.
Yeah, this is potentially, from as far as we can see, the first instance of Topps Dynasty with no patches, just on-card autos in some of the cards, which I believe makes up a quarter of the checklist. Right.
So that's a first of all, that's a first differentiating factor. Obviously, there's no rookies as well. So that's a second differentiating factor. All cards are numbered to 10 or less. All autographs are 100% on card. I think they could have just said all autographs are on card.
100% on
card. Don't know what all autographs are 100% on card means.
Maybe none of the autographs come off the card.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's a strange kind of promise to make.
That's right.
All relics are 100% match worn. We could talk about that as well.
But again, that's those two things, though, ignoring the specifics of it, but match worn on card, a set full of match worn on card patch autos and some autos.
This is what people have said they wanted.
For sure. And that has been historically very difficult to get in soccer, because if it was easy, anytime you're watching a break, Jason, Panini set, Top set, whatever the case may be, and you hit a nice patch, people immediately in the break or immediately watching the YouTube video or immediately, if you're in person ripping it, they go, is that game used? Is a match worn? Like the relic, that's such an important question. It's always asked, and obviously there's a premium to it if it is match worn or whatever, but it is something that people are always asking. So they're telling you here, these ones are.
Right.
All of them. Every card. You don't even need to ask the question. It's set in stone.
Yes. And yet some people have asked the question and some people have not been so happy with the answers.
That's right.
Look for unique one-of-one inscriptions, dual on-card autographs, and the holy grail of UEFA Champions League collectibles one-of-one star ball patch autographs. A new high-end era of top soccer is upon us. Welcome to the Dynasty. Wow. Select boxes may contain bonus mystery redemption cards. We can talk about this in a minute. Mystery redemptions appear on average with select autograph relic cards, including from the following subjects: Karim Adeyemi, Kyogo Furuhashi, Mason Mount, John Terry, Virgil van Dijk, Ansu Fati, Kai Havertz, Darwin Nunez, Andy Robertson, Jack Grealish, Henrik Larsson, Yusufa Moukoko, Gianluigi Buffon, and Gianfranco Zola. So,
what an insult to Buffon, by the way.
Not all cards featuring the above-mentioned players will pair with Mystery Redemption card. For questions, please contact customer service. We can talk about all that stuff when we get into the checklist. But first, let's have a look at some of the images, Enzo, because I want to get your reaction to the design.
Okay.
I
mean, there's an immediate flaw with the design, but we'll get into that maybe.
We've had the nearly flawless. Now we're having
Topps flawed. So yeah, first image there. We see a Leo Messi star ball, the holy grail, they say, of collectibles. So there's a lot to unpack.
So Jason,
ultimately, I'm excited about Dynasty, but it's not as flawless as I feel it's been portrayed. But I also feel like no one will ever be truly happy. The biggest flaw of this card, Jason, clearly and evidently, and what is pretty much seen across the board, is the design did not allow for autograph spacing, white space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, there is a tiny bit between the name and the beginning of the player.
Yeah.
But certainly not enough. And that's evident across the board. So that definitely takes away from the aesthetic. As far as the star ball, like I really like the 101 star balls in museum. Since Fanatics really took over, they made that a thing. Like if you hit a 101 museum patch, there were star balls. There was a kind of a subsection that were star balls. I like that a lot. We've had conversations, Jason, privately about kind of like, that's obviously the kind of attempt at logo man. That's the kind of, this is the logo man. And we've had independent conversations of, does that make sense? Does it work? Does it translate? I think there's space for it, but it shouldn't necessarily be classed as kind of, that's the chase. Like I think the chase is always going to be just the nicest patch, which is probably always for the me, club logo, right?
The club logo, would be the nicest. Well, in most cases, would be the nicest patch. The star ball, I guess. So for anyone who doesn't know, a star ball patch is when you're playing the Champions League, you'll have that on one of the arms of on your sleeve. I suppose that's kind of equivalent to, and well, I mean, we have like, they get like in La Liga products, you get the La Liga patch, Premier League products, you get the Premier League patch. So it's basically the kind of theory behind it is that the Champions League is the pinnacle competition in soccer. And so that is the equivalent to the NBA being the pinnacle competition in basketball. And so the star ball is the logo man. That's the
I suppose the difference there, and this is my difference. Maybe this is what, I don't know, because there's something wrong with it. I don't know what it is, but there is. In the NBA, you get the full logo man, is one thing. Mm-hmm. And I think whenever you see the NFL shields, because I think that is a card, they make them too. I don't know if they're actually from jerseys. But I don't know. There's something, because I think the Messis, a lot of them are star ball, which is where my main issue comes. But let's go to the next one. For me, not enough space for an autograph there is the main drawback.
Yeah, just to, sorry, 1 second, just to show you.
And I'll be very interested to know
this. Okay. So this is an example of a F1 Dynasty card that does have white space for the autograph. Would this be enough white space for you?
Yeah, that's enough white space. In fairness, if I was to critique that, I would say the patch obviously sucks. The card image himself is really small, but like having that space for the autograph on Dynasty, I think is a lot more important than what we're seeing here, in my opinion.
Okay. And then if we go to just one more thing, this is a logo man.
Okay, so not the full logo man, right?
So it's not the full logo man. So, you know, just to keep us in the land of
I know, to be honest, it does look beautiful. Like this as well looks beautiful. Yeah. The from the Real Madrid, Haaland Madrid, that's our first kind of instant of inscriptions. We obviously see
the 101 inscription cards. Yeah.
Again, you're seeing his auto cut into, there's two things. Like if you're looking at this, you're seeing his auto cut into his name.
Yeah.
And then the Haaland Madrid is kind of put to the right, encroaching on what's telling you it's match worn. That tells me there's no space for the auto.
Oh, I see that there. And also, I will say the teams with the white kits have done extremely well out of this set.
Yeah, for sure.
Real Madrid and Spurs look incredible compared
to
for
me here, you can make the Camavinga image slightly smaller. Like if you're literally designing it, you can take his name and bring it down a bit and make it smaller, and then leave space for the autograph.
Yeah. Okay.
But I like the gold. Can I say I like the gold? The way it's white on gold, that is nice. The star ball behind the player is a good design, I think. Too.
What I would love to see, just in terms of supporting this release, I would love to see like some of the footage and some of the photographs from these signing sessions.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like it would be really cool if Camavinga was like, you know, they were like, write whatever you want, and he was like, oh, write Haaland Madrid, you know, that kind of thing. That would be cool. But this is like, if you're a Real Madrid fan, I can only imagine what that's like. But if you're a Real Madrid fan, this is an unbelievable card.
But yeah, I think I'm trying to place that card alongside all of Camavinga's cards all time.
Yeah.
It's obviously up there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, this is a set that is about to release some of people's Grail chase. Like, people have lots of opinions on this set. We've seen a lot of negativity out there. We've also seen that negativity coming maybe from people who wouldn't necessarily open a product like this for good or bad reason.
Yeah.
But like, there's no doubt about it. When these get ripped, there's going to be Grail PC cards flooded into the market if they're not hit by someone that's going to PC them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at that, and like, if you try picture holding that card, Jason, it is actually a mental card.
Oh yeah, no, it's an unbelievable card, and like, yeah, it's basically impossible to tell because obviously I value things in the hobby that I wasn't there for when they were being released.
Yeah, classic nostalgia kind of bias.
That's just nostalgia.
It's just kind of old.
Yeah,
you have to look back than look forward. Sometimes
you tell me like these just don't come up. You don't see them. It's hard to get. You know, and so I suppose we have to remember that a lot of us who are listening or they're talking on or listening to the podcast, we're not there when Panini Flawless Soccer was released. Some of the prices that those cards were going for at that time were super low. Yeah, you know, like 100%. So I keep trying to kind of put myself in the mindset of somebody in 10 years, but then at the same time, how many dynasties will have come out in 10 years? Because they say welcome to a new era of top soccer.
That's right. Now, but in fairness, we were told this is not coming out for this
23-24. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that. Okay, next card. This is a Lionel Messi PSG, Erling Haaland Manchester City dual patch auto, both match worn memorabilia Topps certified autograph issue.
Can I say here, there's enough space for the auto, and this is kind of probably from a design point of view a frustrating thing where it's like you have enough space for the auto, but Lionel Messi doesn't care.
Yes, he's still not doing it. And by the way, is that 100% on card? I don't know. That's from 99.5% on card. Yeah. We've talked to death about whether you should be including Haaland on these cards with these kind of greatest players. I don't think you should be. Some other people think you should be. That's fine.
I think it's fine to do that, to be honest, because it's
I think it's fine to do it, but I think it's.
I know what you're saying.
Me, it's not. I don't like it. But
it's not what you would collect. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's good.
Interesting. Jose Mourinho has appeared. We know he's a Topps signee and Topps curator. And here he is with a Chelsea patch, Jose Mourinho manager, the special one. He's inscribed it there.
I think he's the only manager on the checklist, right? Current manager. Is, yeah. And that speaks to his star power. But yeah, at the same time,
he's the only manager on as a manager.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, unbelievable for a Chelsea fan. People have been questioning the patch, kind of going, hold on a minute. And that's kind of where him in a suit kind of throws it off. But there's definitely, as you said to me, Jason, training gear could have been kind of a blazer with the logo on it. So like, it's definitely, I think it should be fine. I mean, I think that
it is kind of like that thing of it's sort of I can't think of what the name is, but like basically, right, you want all match worn, right? So you get all match worn. Then you get all match worn, and you start to look at like, say something like Futera Unique has all match worn memorabilia in it, and or the match memorabilia that has it will say like, this is from a game in 1996 where Eric Cantona played against Southampton or whatever. So you kind of want all match worn, then you get all match worn, then the immediate question is, well, what's the provenance of all these match worn pieces?
It's a rabbit hole.
It's a rabbit hole. Then you do that, and then say you were to see the provenance, then it's like, okay, but some of these are friendlies, some of these are exhibition games, some of these are testimonials. You know, I want better ones, competitive match game. You know, it's kind of just like, when are we ever going to stop? I don't know. That's part of the fun of it.
But again, obviously, you're talking, he's writing the special one, etc. But again, the space is, for me, that kind of carries through. Obviously, now you're looking at Harry Kane. It looks fine because he's white shirt.
Yeah.
That looks
he's in there for Spurs.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That hits different than the other ones. if you will.
But then you go back to the Leo Messi, and it's on the navy. It's navy on navy.
Yeah.
Do you know what's coming to me is the as the perfect example of this, and a much worse example is the Thierry Henry Eminence, where he wrote in black pen.
That was as bad as it's ever been. I suppose it's kind of that thing of you need to know what the image is, and then you need to hand a pen that's going to work over that image if you don't have space.
Yeah.
Again, that's
I think like obviously this kind of stuff, it took so long to. There is a kind of Frankenstein element to this set,
definitely.
Which is that it takes so long to make that it's kind of like it's all kind of fit together eventually, but maybe not quite as perfectly as they had first hoped when they set out to design it.
Yep.
Okay, there's Messi again, by the way. Here's Virgil van Dijk.
Yep. His "You'll Never Walk Alone" inscription, could have put it under his auto and it would have fit even beautiful. So it is that thing of like, you get one shot at signing it as well.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily, what are you going to say to Virgil van Dijk? Can you just write it down there?
You're just going to say, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Virgil. I love that Liverpool badge is brilliant.
Yeah. There was all sorts of stuff I was hearing about, like somebody may have had a theory on what kind of jersey this was, what like spec of jersey it was. Was it athlete spec? Was it spectator spec? Whatever it was. But we have to just kind of take it on faith, otherwise the whole thing's going to fall apart. I will say this: when it comes to stuff like patches and match worn and all that stuff, I am very happy to listen to people who have specific evidence of stuff, but I don't want to just spread rumors. Do you know what I mean? Like if you have a specific thing where you can show this is actually not a match worn shirt by this player, that's fine. I'll happily repeat that. But I don't just want to cast doubts on all these because I've heard there might be some doubts out there.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
There's Neymar for Barcelona.
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah. That's very nice.
And in fairness, Neymar's someone you can leave as much. Yeah, you can leave as much white space as you want for Neymar's autograph. The thing is huge.
Okay. Robert Lewandowski playing in a slightly less auspicious era for FC Barcelona, but there he is.
Beautiful patch on that as well with the full Barca crest popping up.
Yeah.
These are going to be so, Jason. This stuff on the market is going to be fascinating to see.
It really is. Like this Robert Lewandowski, for instance. Let's talk about it. So this is a 1-1 Lewandowski patch auto for Barcelona. The questions you have to ask yourself are: who's the collector here?
Yeah, a Polish and/or Barcelona fan, you'd imagine.
You'd imagine so. I mean, I don't know where Bayern fans are on Lewandowski as an all-time great. Would they rather he stayed? Do they kind of dislike his Barcelona stuff? I imagine they do. It's interesting. Like
definitely. Probably a Polish. You'd imagine a Polish collector or a very there's definitely Polish Barcelona fans that are now like, this is my dream card.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So like but it is that kind of set that I think how many of these will be seen on the market in 2 years' time is the big question.
Yeah. And also what's interesting is because we were just at the Soccer Expo and we had like a load of flawless and a load of 2014 gold prism, right? And so it's like if you ask me, Jason, what do you think this card's what would you price this card at? At the moment, all I can think of is the box price and case price for UEFA Dynasty. So whatever I say as a price that I think this would be fair to pay for, that's just in my head. But in 10 years' time, that'll be we were selling stuff that's like you would think, it must be really, really expensive based on what World Cup Prism goes for today. But it's like, well, no, actually, it's not that expensive. But it's still a brilliant card for somebody. So it's interesting to find out.
It's fascinating. So we had like the Robert Lewandowski Noir in a Polish kit on card auto. Amazing card.
Yeah.
And I want to say we had 250 on it.
Yeah.
Now, there was no relic on that card or whatever, but it's that thing of like if I'd have given you that card, Jason, and not told you the box price and you were living in the sand and you didn't know about Dynasty or the price or something like that. Like, Jason, I have this 1-1 Lewandowski, or maybe let's say a 1-5. Let's say it was 1-5. A 1-5 Lewandowski. It's a game used autograph. I think, I can imagine someone walking up to us at our table with that. 1-1s are different, so say 1-5. I'd be saying the autos, you can't really see the auto too well.
Yeah.
I'd be saying Lewandowski, and it's kind of like 500 quid maybe would be like a high price on it. Placing these into the card show environment. But the thing is, though, we've never really seen this as well, is the flip side. Obviously, Flawless is the closest example of that.
Yeah, I would say there's, Immaculate maybe as well. We've seen some stuff that's like this.
Yeah, there's some some bits kind of pop out.
But yeah, obviously the box prices and case prices are there's a gamble priced into them, which is you might not get Lewandowski, you might get a Messi.
I think it's that thing though of like risk versus reward. I think 99% of boxes you could make the same claims with in terms of like the likelihood of hitting something that covers the box price is very low, especially when you go kind of further back, which is obviously inflating from RRP. We've seen that probably most recently with World Cup Eminence, where it's like you could get a really good box and it's not covering the cost of the box.
Yes, and the higher you go, probably the percentages are similar enough across the board, but the actual dollar amounts or euro amounts involved are, there we go. Look at this. Messi from his time in Paris with Paris Saint-Germain.
Yep. Technically a dual patch auto, I believe, because they've kind of split it there.
Yeah, there are dual patch autos and there are patch dual autos.
That's as good. Obviously, that's not 100% on guard. Let us say that. Messi is a devil, but that looks kind of the best that we've seen so far because there's a lot of white kind of.
And it also says Paris on it.
That's unbelievable.
If you're a Paris collector, that's. I'm unsure about PSG's relationship to Messi and to Neymar. It seems like everyone leaves under bad conditions, but we'll see.
Do you not think that could have been a vertical Paris in a single patch? Not to be.
If you're nitpicking, it could have been, but not if you're making a dual patch card.
That's right.
So yeah. By the way, I should say that like my PC is Ireland national team cards, so I don't have a personal stake in any of these cards.
That's right. But look at this, the white kits, as you said, Jason, they doing well.
Los Blancos are having an absolute blinder here.
What I like here, Jason, is that's the same style of patch was obviously part of the crest of Real Madrid. I wonder if there's a lot of that as a Camavinga, because like imagine if all of the 101 Real Madrids kind of have that featured, and then it's like if you're a super collector, you might try to get them all, and wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be something? Right. Bit of you, Enzo. Kaká.
That is a great use of the AC Milan crest. Again, it screams out that there was no white space to sign autographs.
He's written Forza Milan.
Yeah. Kind of coming into the bottom right hand corner. But yeah, like I like the inscription. It's still unique. It's also kind of like, is there kind of something nice in the kind of imperfection of it almost? Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, if it's too clean cut, this, like you look at this, you feel he wrote it, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, yeah. And like, obviously, I'm sure if you could get a Kaká sticker auto and you could put that in the white space, all this is kind of designed, it looks to me as it was designed for the space that a sticker auto would take up.
Yeah.
But then the real person has taken it and signed it, and they've signed the card in front of them as opposed to signing the sticker.
That's right.
So this may just be a natural consequence of on-card autographs.
It's that thing of like, if they had left enough space, they probably still would have ended up with something like this.
Yeah, because we're in a situation in soccer where like our two categories are almost always sticker autos or like hand signed.
Yeah.
So we're a bit kind of traumatized from all the hand signed stuff that you see, where you go, well, that's not a real.
And that's why, like, if you look at flawless, I think 90% of the card is white, probably built in to allow for that. That it always kind of looked cleaner because there was no design to it. It was just kind of like simplistic, minimalistic as it could be.
There's Fabio Cannavaro for Juventus and Cafu for AC Milan. A lot of white space on that one.
Yeah, and that again shows you like Cannavaro's autograph naturally is just bigger, so it's kind of overtaking that white space. So again, you can't really.
The one qualm on this one, Enzo, is that this is our first non-patch auto.
That's true. First non-patch, and the one qualm, the use of two rival clubs on one card with two players of different nationality really reduces the collector base of this card tremendously. Yeah. The collector base of this card is someone who just appreciates two of the greatest defenders to ever defend and has no personal stake in either club. But that is. Yeah, it is a real neutrals card. That's right. In terms of these non-patch autographs, I personally don't think they should have been included. I think it's a sort of a needless mistake. Yeah. To work so hard to get this set done and then dilute it with non-patch autos when that's what the whole Dynasty brand is about. Yeah. You know. I mean, yeah. Anyway. Let's see. Where are we going next? We're back in Neymar land with I know that that light blue kit. I can picture him playing in that. That's kind of exciting when you see that. Another nice Neymar 101. Would you have patched the image with that blue? I wasn't knowledgeable enough to jump straight into. I remember that kit.
Yeah, I mean, probably it is that kind of thing. We criticize Panini for this all the time, where it's like maybe match the color of the shirt with the color that they're wearing.
This is more about the patch, though. I mean, the crest, I would imagine, though.
This is more about the crest. Yeah, I mean, like the other Neymar may very well, although,
but like you could have had the card
from the Blaugrana kit
secured your match worn. You know, there's a variety. I mean, this is again the reason we don't see sets like this is because who would dare to try and go off?
Who would do this? Who would spend 2 years putting together one of the most incredible soccer sets ever, only to have two fellas on a podcast sit there and nitpick on every card?
That's it. No, but I'm trying to say, because like I think I'm echoing kind of what we've seen online, and I'm trying to like kind of get it across and kind of go this. But when you think about like why is this not done, it's because there's no MLB, there's no NBA, they're not all in the same country at the same time frequently. So you have to go all around Europe and deal with God knows how many agents, how many clubs.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of unknowns. You print all the cards, you get them signed, and then you're putting the patches in, and the patch doesn't quite, I'm sure a lot of that goes on that we don't appreciate, because ultimately it's a set that has got people talking. There's a variety of things, and we're going to continue to deep dive into it because it is one of the biggest releases in soccer. But yeah, there's definitely, I don't know, there's a lot of opinions out there, Jace.
There's Leo Messi again. Can you picture that kit?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the luminous yellow kit. Great image of Messi there with the old Catalan flag on the Champions League, I believe. 1-on-1, another 1-on-1. Very nice. You expect the Barcelona Messis to do significantly more than the PSG Messis?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Back to a card without a patch. It's Didier Drogba for Olympique de Marseille. This is lots of white space.
Yeah, as much as you dislike the lack of patches, this is one of the most kind of aesthetically pleasing cards, I think, in the set that I've seen so far.
Right. Yeah. This is kind of so this people are saying, why, if you have Drogba and you don't need to put a patch in, why don't you put him in a Chelsea kit? Other people are saying, well, it's Marseille, it's kind of a niche collectible. If you do it this way, I don't know. I mean, we own an extensive collection of Didier Drogba
in an Ivory Coast kit.
In an Ivory Coast kit, and the Chelsea ones are much more liquid.
Fair.
So in terms of collectors, I think and I personally know a number of Marseille collectors, and I think this would be a more valuable card if it was a Chelsea card. But this is a Grail, I suppose, for a
Marseille fan.
For a Marseille fan, I don't know if he has that status at Marseille, to be honest. But anyway, they made it, so it's fine. And then here we are. Here's Jude Bellingham for Borussia Dortmund with a Puma patch.
That's probably, even the blue works well over the yellow there in terms of the auto, so that just looks like an unbelievable card.
And so the Jude collectors will enjoy this one.
That one does look like the patch is the same as the kit.
It does it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
I think so.
We can see all these, this will all come out in person. So that's basically, that's our first little look at just the images. What else have I got for us here? I have a checklist and I have odds. Would you like to talk about either of those?
Odds. Checklist, maybe.
I have odds.
I haven't seen the odds.
Okay, very quick. We'll just do the odds very briefly because it's going to take a second. So if I can just zoom in here, can I? I don't know if I can. Anyway, Dynasty autograph patch cards 1 in 3. Dynasty autograph patch cards black 1 in 4. Dynasty autograph patch cards gold 1 in 18. I'm not great on odds, are you? Dynasty dual autograph cards gold 1 in 341. Basically, they've the odds are the odds. People can look them up if they're interested. They're available.
Brilliant. That was content.
We're done. There's a clip. Clip that.
Yeah, please.
The checklist that Topps put out was a sort of strange and confusing. So I found this checklist by Benny Dub 44 on X, and we're now here on this excellent Google Doc.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. So there's a player breakdown, then there's a card breakdown.
I like
you want to go through
number of appearances. One looks great.
Yeah, so let's have a look at that. So Alessandro Del Piero starting off. Alessandro Del Piero appears on the checklist 9 times.
Yep.
And has 1 dual auto. Andres Iniesta appears 10 times. and has 1 dual auto. Franco Baresi appears 4 times. David Trezeguet appears 5 times. Fabio Cannavaro appears 6 times and has 2 dual autos. There are 2 fellas called Frank on the checklist. There's a stat. Frank Lampard and Frank Rijkaard. Lampard is 8 times. Rijkaard is 4 times. Torres is 6 times. How big is the checklist overall? Do we know that?
I think the expectation is 1,000 cases, 5,000 boxes, roughly there or thereabouts.
Right, but I just meant how many subjects are on the checklist.
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. So you got Buffon, Enzo loads of Buffon. Henrik Larsson's on it 10 times. Stoichkov's on it 5 times and is used in 3 dual autographs. That's interesting. They obviously felt Hristo Stoichkov was amenable to signing with other people.
He needed but he also needed a bit of help.
Yeah. Bump him up, juice him up. Kaká appears a whopping 15 times on the checklist, the most of anyone.
No, someone there 17. Go down to the bottom.
Who's 17?
Oh no, there's a 13 and a 7. My apologies.
That's all right.
AC Milan massive is the answer to that.
And Kaká specifically is massive.
That's right.
Pavel Nedved 5 times, 1 dual auto. Roberto Carlos 4 times, 1 dual auto. Rivaldo 3 times. Steven Gerrard 8 times. Xavi 12. Xabi Alonso 4. Cafu, we've seen him. Didier Drogba, we've seen him. Eric Cantona.
Pause this for a second, right?
Yeah.
When it says that he appears 4 times,
yeah,
are we saying, what does that mean?
It means he has 4 kinds of cards. 4, see here, David Trezeguet.
You have 4
DT1.
of 10s.
Yeah.
But there's not just 4 of you. Yeah, right.
No, so these are specific cards, each of which will have with different image, each of which will have their own parallel.
Okay.
So let's see. Kenny Dalglish has 8 different cards. Gareth Bale has 6 different cards. Gary Lineker has 4 different cards. Kevin Keegan, it says 0 here, but it says 1 dual autograph. So he's not there on his own at any point. Okay. Marcel Desailly appears 8 times as 1 dual auto. Michael Owen appears 4 times. Marco van Basten 6 times, 1 dual auto. Gascoigne 8 times. Kluivert 6 times. Vieira 5 times. People are very upset about Patrick Vieira because he appears in the Juventus kit, not in an Arsenal kit.
But are we saying no matter what across the board, every card's Juventus? Same with Drogba, every card's Marseille. There's no potential of a.
I believe so. I can check that here on the checklist.
Based on the checklist, it's a bit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 Juventus cards.
Okay, interesting.
Because I think Topps included that information in the checklist. They just didn't.
Yeah, it was below. It was in the next.
It was a different column. Yeah. However, exporting CSV files, it's not for everybody. Where are we? Patrick Vieira. Ronaldinho appears 8 times. Ronaldinho fans will be happy with that one. Yeah. R9 has fewer than that. He has 6 times, 1 dual auto. Zidane has 4 times, 1 dual auto. Deco. Remember Deco? Deco was 6 times 4, 6 times 1 dual auto. Ian Rush also has no single cards. I believe he's on a dual auto with Kevin Keegan and maybe with Kenny Dalglish as well. I'm not quite sure. Who else jumps out? Jude Bellingham 9 times. Kai Havertz, Arsenal fans, 9 times. Neymar 10 times. That's really strong for Neymar, I think.
Definitely.
Jose Mourinho 5 different cards. And just people who are wondering what these cards are, obviously you got the patch, the different kinds of patches, the single patches, the dual patches, all that kind of stuff.
Starball patch.
Starball patch, yeah. So and then they kind of all be different, profile, front on, all that kind of stuff with the images. Let's see. Haaland 10 times, 1 dual auto. Harry Kane 9, Human-Son 9, Jack Grealish 9, Kevin De Bruyne 9. They all have 1 dual auto. And then Mystery Redemption 13 times.
So yeah, the rumor on the Mystery Redemption, Jason. Obviously, we have Cristiano Ronaldo. We're expecting in there for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
People are expecting Garnacho.
Okay.
I feel like at one point I heard Garnacho was in it, so I feel like he might be a mystery because I could have sworn someone said that to me ages ago.
Right.
And then Zlatan Ibrahimovic. That's another one that I think there's a
rumored.
chance there was rumored. Maybe we seen an image at some point. I don't know. I feel like that was an image I've seen in my life, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I don't know if I was just seeing images of Zlatan signing different cards.
Were you dreaming of? Are you dreaming? Of
but those are the 3 kind of big ones. Julian Alvarez obviously just start signing for Topps recently enough. I don't think I feel like he won't be in there.
Yeah, hard to get him to sign a Manchester City card now, probably.
Now, because there's 13 and there's 13 for Messi, it kind of feels like Messi, Ronaldo. I think it's definitely Ronaldo. I don't think Ronaldo's not in this. I think he 100% is.
Yeah.
But the other kind of potentials, because there could be multiple mystery redemptions, although we think there's just one, but there could be multiple. mystery redemption.
Yeah, so there's 4. 8D is in kind of just the single cards, and then is there any other mystery redemption down here? Yeah, here we go. E to L are down here in the.
We basically don't know.
Autograph patch cards,
but it seems to be the one person, right?
Yeah, so this, I think so, but we're not sure.
Yeah, so those are kind of the 3 names. Garnacho, which would mean a rookie autograph card, which would be really cool to have in here.
Yeah.
Especially with really cool United crest, Starball, whatever. Then we obviously have Cristiano Ronaldo, which would be incredible.
Yeah.
Zlatan is kind of being rumored, but we're not sure.
So we have 8 of the mystery redemptions are patch autos. Right. 4 of them are autos, and then 1 of them is a autograph jewel relic. So that's the breakdown. So you get a mystery redemption, you're not necessarily getting a patch auto. You could be getting one of the 4 autographs. So that could very easily just be all Cristiano.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's if I was to put money on it, I would put it there.
Yeah. Right. Your dual autograph patch cards, you got a Kevin De Bruyne, a Jack Grealish dual autograph.
Decent.
Luis Figo and Deco for Madrid and Chelsea. That's a sort of strange combo there.
Yeah, Portuguese combo, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son.
Yeah, very good.
Classic. And then Haaland, Messi, which we already saw when we were looking. So
obviously, in the background of this set, Jason, you have Man City's treble-winning season. Yes. And obviously Haaland breaking the Premier League goal-scoring record. So I do think that there will be extra desirability on those cards, for sure.
Well, that's something that has kind of been talked about recently about Man City's treble-winning season and whether or not that's going to matter in the card value. Obviously, it coincided with a season where they had a huge amount of cards made, and also hurts that they have no fans. But other than that,
it's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid, yeah. So that is including that incredible run through the odds, by the way.
But do not forget that.
Do not forget that. I don't know how you could. That is Topps Dynasty as it stands right now.
That's right. I think the biggest takeaway, Jason, is the price point, right? So obviously, 1,300 on a box. A lot of people are saying, "Hey, you get your hands on a box of this, you're getting wrecked, getting certifiably wrecked based on long-standing soccer card prices."
Tradition. It's soccer card tradition to be wrecked on boxes.
Like, I think a fair value of this box would be €500. Say at that point, I mean, that's a very good value. But like at €500, it's like, I mean, €500, you're almost always breaking even. Not always, guaranteed. You're not losing too much when you lose. Yeah. However, if they had done that, Topps, after putting this set together and everything that it took to put it together and to promote it, which we've seen happen via organic and paid promotions of this set, which is, I think that's more of a grow the hobby kind of a promotion, because they definitely didn't need too much help selling the set. If it came out at say 500, if that's an idealistic price, there's no doubt the resale price would be above what their ORP was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. At the end of the day, they put it out at 1,300, and I'm pretty sure if you go on eBay, you're not buying one at 1,300.
Absolutely not.
People get angry at the manufacturer for that one, which I do semi-understand. It's greedy, it's a cash grab, and da-da-da-da. If you open it, you're going to get wrecked, but it's the people. The people are opening it still.
Yes.
With the knowledge.
Are not breaking it for ORP, they're breaking it way above, and they're filling breaks.
Yeah, they're filling. That's the thing. Like, the breaker can charge whatever he wants. If it doesn't fill, the market has decided. But the market has decided to basically just degen into it. Because those few lucky people that will end up with a dynasty card from it could end up with kind of an all-time grail on their hands.
A couple of release day rips filtering through, I believe, from Soccer Breakers over there. And I saw this on from Mooney on X. But there you go. There's some patch autograph cards.
Some Rafael Leao action down there at the bottom.
Rafael Leao. Mason Mount. That's incredible that he's made the checklist there.
In a Chelsea
Our boy
kit.
Mason Mount. What could have been. And then look at this, Enzo, a bit of a bombshell.
What could still be, by the way.
A Leo Messi redemption. So the Messi is in here as a redemption in this.
Congratulations, you are due to receive an autograph patch of Lionel Messi, Paris Saint-Germain. Wow.
So Messi, at least this Messi autograph was not in the box. It was a redemption.
Yeah, wasn't a mystery redemption. It's just a redemption.
Yeah.
But in fairness, like Topps are good at getting them fulfilled. So.
And it expires on the 8th of August 2034. So it shouldn't hurt the old box value too much.
You should be all right, but that's also a bit mad, isn't it?
You
but
should be
again,
fine.
that's another... Like, people want to know why it was delayed 2 years. Like 2 years in, we still can't get the cards necessarily into the box.
Yeah. So that is quite interesting.
And I'm sure,
sorry, just looking at a lot of designs filtering through.
As this podcast and broadcast goes live, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more images kind of after the fact.
Yes, we'll be going, we should have shown. One thing we have to talk about, actually, Enzo, is people are waiting for this hot take topic. It is the Erling Haaland so-called rookie patches.
Yeah. The rookie patches.
This was a cause of big controversy.
I honestly don't understand how you're able to put him in whatever kit you want to put him in if he's an active player in the Champions League. That's the one thing I'm very confused about for this fella.
So Erling Haaland is in there. He has Salzburg cards. People will remember that Erling Haaland's most valuable cards are Topps Chrome Bundesliga 2019-20, where he appears in a Dortmund kit. His Salzburg cards are secondary to that at the moment.
At this moment in time.
At this moment in time. So here we go. First look, according to Topps, Erling Haaland's Salzburg cards in Dynasty feature a match-worn jersey from his Champions League match versus Liverpool on December 10th, 2019. Yes, that means the relics are from his rookie season. Wow.
I'd love to know if that happens in other sports. Do you mean, like, can you take the Tom Brady rookie season certified jersey and then create Tom Brady rookie season patches after the fact? Because technically the patch is still a piece of memorabilia from the rookie season. I don't know. I am a novice at this level. I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, we are novices at this level.
Because that might happen in other sports. I don't think it does, but it might.
Yes.
And if it hasn't, it might in the future.
This jersey was bought from Golden and is photo matched.
Which is its own thing.
Which is its own thing. And people who are long-time listeners will know that we have discussed photo matching for a long time.
Well, there is no doubt about it. There's premium. When you see Golden Auction and it says photo match, there is a premium on that jersey.
Certainly according to Golden.
Well, no, that's what it sells for. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You'll often see photo match jerseys appearing above really nice cards in Golden Soccer auctions.
Yeah. You'll see them in the 20, 30, 40,000s.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting one to see how the market reacts to this. I've seen people come out and say that they're buying these Salzburg Haalands.
They look good.
They look good. All I can think of is those poor Haaland Topps Now owners. you know that famous Haaland Topps Now in the Salzburg kit.
That's right.
And they're sitting going, "What the hell? Why can I not sell this for any money?"
I'm looking at Topps Dynasty, and I feel like they were married to the size of the photo of the player.
Right. Yeah.
That's the difference between that. I was trying to figure out what's going on between this and F1, because when people see all these 101s, right?
Yeah.
That was a point of contention, and this is definitely people that don't really necessarily follow Dynasty in other sports, so they're kind of going, what the hell? Why if they're all 101, they're not 101. But the concept of Dynasty having multiple 101s is that you have like a 101 patch auto, a 101 dual patch auto, a 101 triple patch auto, a 101 jumbo patch auto. So they're all different cards, and obviously the images are different. But it's like, here it feels like their patch size, because the patch size is exactly the same in every single one, it doesn't make as much sense.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's like, it feels like the only reason that is the case is they were kind of married to this. That's a dual. But even the dual, they had to kind of split. It's just, the
dual should be bigger than the single.
It's like they weren't able to be nimble enough with the design or something. Because like, why, if you can hit, it doesn't make sense. I'm thinking of F1, you see the triple patches, the image is smaller, the signage is still there. There's a triple patch.
Yeah.
There's a jumbo zipper patch. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why was the design not flexible there for soccer, I suppose?
Flag patches.
Yeah, jumbo flags, half flag, and it's a 1 of 2. Like a half club crest where it's a 1 of 2. I don't know. It feels like very much so. Soccer, I suppose this is almost something we ask for sometimes. Soccer has kind of moved away from Dynasty. They said, yeah, that's what you do in F1, that's what you do in baseball. This is what we do in UEFA in Soccer Dynasty. We do non-patch all.
Yeah.
But that is where the confusion came from. Because it's like, I know Hamilton has all these different 101s in Dynasty F1, but I know one's a jumbo patch, and I know one is a triple patch, and I know one is a dual patch, and one's a single patch. Do you know, like, they're all subsets or whatever. Oof. Look at that Iniesta. See, the cards I like the most are without the patches because there's space for the auto.
But let me tell you
why was I drawn directly to the Iniesta? That's why.
Yeah. Would that Iniesta, is there a way to make that Iniesta if you're not going to put a patch on it and make it vertical?
The lack of vertical in Dynasty across the board is very bizarre. And that's Dynasty as a set. It's always been horizontal cards, which famously are less desirable than vertical in the hobby. I never really understood that.
That's one to consider. There's a Xavi disrupting the 100% on card promise again.
But look at Darwin Núñez. Like, he's signing there because there was no space for him.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're seeing the natural. Like, that's almost like if you could do a focus group. It's like, where do these people? You're treating them like they're kind of little monkeys. You're going, where are they going to sign? Let's get some data from them. And if you see them signing next to their name and you did not intend that to be where they were doing it, obviously, there's a mishap there on the space. But again, this is one of those things where you get one chance at it. And to be honest,
here's something else to frustrate me. We were talking about, I was giving them some credit on the Neymar thing, but they put Darwin Núñez in an away kit. So hang on, if you can put Darwin Núñez in an away kit and use a home shirt, why can't you put Neymar in an away kit?
But I just think the images were there before the jersey, I think. That's what I think.
Why not go all home shirt? That's crazy. Why take one image where Darwin Núñez is in an away shirt, everyone else is wearing their home colours?
Imagine they could have been told we're getting an away kit off Darwin. You don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think the process of putting this together, and that's what I was about to say. Here's a hot take for you.
Yeah. Let me get you on full screen for this.
Should they make Dynasty a set that comes out every 2 years, every 3 years, right? Yeah. And they subsequently fix what the mistakes here. Could the collectability of these cards be increased by the kind of choppiness of it all? Like, look at that. When they first did UEFA Dynasty, look at what kind of these little mishaps, like, and that kind of shows you, like, this was ground zero, first that back kind of thing.
Yeah.
This was rookie Dynasty, Jason.
Yeah, I suppose.
Or is it unforgivable?
Look, none of this is unforgivable. None of this is all absolutely completely fine. And as I say, it's easy to sit back and throw stones from an armchair.
I think the fact that we haven't in the last 5-10 years seen a set like this, apart from obviously Flawless, shows that this is not easy to do in soccer.
Yeah, and that wasn't that was a long time ago. So we are really not.
Flawless.
We're all novices at this level. This is not what the soccer hobby is built around. So when we see stuff like this, we get a bit antsy, a bit anxious, a bit nervous, and we don't quite know how to
deal with it.
But the reality is, we've been talking about this as a kind of a sort of an emerging trend in soccer, is that the low end and the high end have been growing massively, and it's the mid range that's been stuck. So I do think that the people who are entering into these breaks or who are buying the top cards from this set absolutely have the capital and absolutely have the desire to get involved and to get these cards. I think it's just strange because we're kind of, a lot of these cards would be comfortably in the mid end, but because we're in the mid range, but because we don't really have a mid range in soccer, we're all finding it a bit uncomfortable. We want to categorize everything as high end or low end because that kind of 1,000 to 8,000 range is very, very tough.
No, I agree with that. It's one of those things where these cards going to sit relative to other similar cards. And when I say similar, I mean, like, where does the 1-of-1 Dynasty sit next to a super factor from a set that's not necessarily relevant? It's kind of like, what's the super factor from this kind of 30-year set that this player's featured in versus his this and that? Like, it's basically going to be fascinating to see it on the market, and it'll be interesting to see these cards at card shows, Jason.
Yeah.
But I do think out the gate, people will be, as you said, kind of associating every card with the box price, which is classic. It's kind of like, I got this Mason Mount, but like, I got the box on Topps and it was 1,300, so I'm looking for about 15. And it's kind of like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, but in a few years' time, they'll be like, oh, Mason Mount, that's about a $200 card.
Yeah, unless he has a bigger resurgence at United, but then he won't do much to his Chelsea.
I know, it's tough. But listen, we want to hear people's thoughts on Dynasty, so send us in your DMs and your emails and let us know what you're thinking about Topps Dynasty, and obviously will be more as we get it on the show here for Topps Dynasty. And so I want to talk about Sapphire as well, but I'm conscious of time. I want to also talk about the fact that we just got back from New York City. We were at Fanatics Fest. So would you like to do that, and we can talk about Sapphire later in the week?
Yeah, we'll get back to Sapphire, and it'll be kind of interesting to talk about Sapphire as it's had a couple of weeks to kind of sit in the hands of people. I agree with that.
Okay. So we just got back yesterday from New York, where we spent a few days, which included Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where we attended the first ever Fanatics Fest in NYC at the Javits Center, a very, very large and nice and modern convention center in Midtown Manhattan. And it was quite an experience, Enzo.
Yeah, New York City, first of all. Neither of us had ever been. No. It was Fanatics' first major event from their kind of wing Fanatics events.
Yeah.
And we basically, we flew over to NYC to attend this event, Jason, which...
Yeah.
Say again, which what?
I was going to say, first thing we did while we were in NYC, we had a day before the show started.
That's right.
And we said, let's go find a card shop. And we headed on down there to Bleecker Street to go to Bleecker Trading.
Yeah, we popped into Bleecker Trading. We picked up one of the new 2024. There's a great image, Jason. We picked up the new 2024 Star Wars Chrome because it wasn't out in Europe until today, maybe. Is it today? I don't even know. And we also picked up a baseball finest because we had heard some good things about baseball finest.
And we thought, we're in the States, let's go. You know, our newfound love of baseball from going to see the Cleveland Guardians at the National. We said, let's get some. But then I got a Mets cat, and there's more on the Mets to come. This is a Mets podcast now. So then we went to the show the following day. We got our VIP tickets. Allowed us to do some things like skip the line at the Topps booth.
Yes.
They gave us some free packs.
I'll be harkening back to that goodie bag towards the end of this review, Jason.
Okay, you want to backload the
to be a back reference
review.
That's right.
Okay. But for a VIP ticket, you got a goodie bag. That's just, we leave it there for now.
Some people got a goodie bag, by the way. A lot of people missed out on their goodie bags with VIP. There was a lot of, the biggest kind of negative of the show was the VIP package. A lot of people did not get their goodie bags.
Right.
We had to double back to get our goodie bag. That was a whole.
That's right. Yeah. Because, there was a situation where on the Thursday, you could go and collect your stuff, your credentials early, but you couldn't collect your goodie bags. Obviously, they hadn't arrived or whatever it was. So
they told us, someone said to us, get it in the VIP lounge when you get in. And when we got in on the Friday, there was no VIP lounge. But then we just went back to the desk and they were like, there's your goodie bag. So that was fascinating.
It is, it was on a scale that was very impressive. The environment was very, very impressive. Yes. But all sorts of stuff happened while we were there. One thing I want to talk about, Enzo, which was the product announcement conference or product announcement, the Topps Hobby Hall stage.
Product announcement controversy, I would call it.
Yeah. So we were there and we're looking at this. I'll just play this video here. We're looking at Jeff Wilson from Sports Card Investor, right?
Fame.
And Clay from Topps. And they're talking about new products that are on the way in all their various categories: baseball, basketball, football, and then it was supposed to be soccer, then F1, and then I think UFC, and then Star Wars.
Tennis and then Star Wars.
Tennis and then Star Wars, excuse me. You got one of those like photographic memories. You could make one of those sketches from the helicopter of the Manhattan skyline. So we're chatting away, or they're chatting away about it, and then they get on to Topps soccer. Oh yeah. And they announce a couple of things. First of all, they show us this Dynasty card with the Messi to confirm that Barcelona Messi's in Dynasty. And then they also show us this, which is a new high-end brand called Topps Bold.
Diego Maradona cut autograph used to tease us all there, 1 of 1. And they verbally added to that and said in Topps Bold, we're talking 10 autographs per box.
Right. So a 10 autograph box.
Holy smokes.
High-end Topps Bold.
That's right.
Diego Maradona cut autographs. Enzo, will you say a Babe Ruth thing? Because I really like that.
Yeah. So my take on the Maradona cut autographs, of which we first seen in Topps Focus Barcelona, is that cut autographs have a huge premium. I think if it's someone like Babe Ruth, but if we look at Copa Prism, which came out recently, I hit a dual autograph on that, Paxton and Brendan Aronson.
Right.
Brendan Aronson. Panini are still releasing sticker autos of Maradona, and there are various on-card Maradonas that sell for about $4,000 to $6,000.
Yeah.
So getting cut autos just feels like, I don't know. I feel like if it's easy enough to get their autographs, you shouldn't go to the lengths of producing cut autographs.
Do you know that thing they say where, like, you know, when you see photographs of Martin Luther King and like the civil rights movement in the States and they're all in black and white?
Yes.
And people say that this is a deliberate attempt to put them in black and white so that it seems like this sort of stuff was happening to black people in the States way back in the mists of time.
Yes.
But that it certainly wouldn't happen in this day and age. Then you look and it's all like happening at the same time that the Beatles are releasing music. There's loads of color photographs. They've used a black and white photograph here of Diego Maradona as if Diego Maradona existed in like the 20s or the 1890s or something.
Yeah.
He's not Honus Wagner. He was around.
And we know obviously Topps could never get his autograph because he was kind of licensed with Panini or whatever. They just weren't at the time. And obviously he passed away. And we know that Panini seemed to have kind of a backlog of stickers because they kind of just had Maradona signing all the time. They were giving him the good stuff to do it. But
still funny that they've kind of presented this as if Diego Maradona is a figure from antiquity as opposed to a guy that played for Boca Juniors in the 1990s.
Yeah, it just he's not.
Yeah,
and like you can't do it to Pele. That's the thing. Like our two kind of greats, you can't really do it to because Pele, who was around kind of in the 50s or 60s, he kept signing until he died.
That's right. So anyway, there is a new set coming out called Topps Bold.
Yeah.
But that was the details of that were interrupted because at that very moment there was a kerfuffle. There were some state troopers with their kind of brimmed hats,
cowboy cap,
started to come through the crowd, and it was clear that somebody was coming on stage, and it was UFC president Dana White.
Dana White. So basically, I'd been whispers came to me that there was another top set to be announced, Top Soccer. And when Bold came on screen, I said, that's not the set I was told about. So I was like, oh my God, we're going to get that next. It's going to be great. We were live reporting. Unfortunately, unexpectedly, Dana White came up on stage. Someone clearly told him to go because the people who were on stage were expecting a guest but didn't know who the guest was going to be.
Yeah.
So you could say from an event organizational point of view, there was some things kind of going choppy. But we'll forgive them for that. Dana White gets on stage. Jeff Wilson, Jason, you were having a great time with this because you were saying, Jeff Wilson, please don't ask. Because the only boxes, they had boxes they were going to give away and there were Star Wars boxes. And Jason said, Jeff Wilson, please don't ask Dana White about Star Wars. This is not going to end well. Jeff Wilson, of course, improvised and said, Dana White, we don't have UFC, unfortunately. Did you like Star Wars? Have you ever liked Star Wars? And Dana White said, the first one. And was kind of like, why is there no UFC? Because he's kind of a no-nonsense Canadian. He's not taking nothing. He goes, why is there no UFC? What are you talking about? It was just reminiscences of back in the day when McGregor was asking Dana White, where's my second belt? Had a bit of that to it. Where's my UFC bags? Stephanie from Amma Brinks, of course, showed up, saved the day with a load of UFC Midnight, which, Jason, you pointed out, Dana White has ripped through about 40% of that print run now live on television. So brought on some UFC Midnight, loads of kids got involved. And that kind of kerfuffle, which was great, went on. And obviously the people on stage, Jeff and Clay, were obviously kind of on their time limit, and they did a very good time of time management. So while everyone was looking at Dana White and the big screens were showing live video, what's happening, they were skipping through the PowerPoint. And so by the time Dana White had left, we had skipped soccer, so we missed it. Skipped F1, which the expectation there was Paddock Pass and Finest to see some images. I don't know if they had a new set to announce, but that's what was the expectation. And kind of ironically, they skipped the UFC. So the UFC president was on stage and they didn't have time for UFC. Yeah. And that was very upsetting because I was kind of excited about all three of them to see images, to see what's next, what could possibly be next for UFC, and what else was happening with soccer and F1. And then the tennis was like the next thing. And we're like, we all kind of, like, there was nothing really new.
We know
tennis.
What's going on.
Kind of felt like we know what's happening. Can't remember if they showed a tennis midnight or not. I don't know. I can't remember. I think I was just so disappointed at that point. I couldn't even focus. And then they got into Star Wars, which I think they had a few releases and a few new releases for Star Wars and a few things like that. But it was kind of sad because there was time to flick through it all. You know what I mean? Maybe you had to kind of be a bit quicker. But like the next people that were coming on stage, it wasn't like this really fast turnaround. It was probably an hour or half an hour or something. It was kind of like you just didn't have to panic. But I think it was spur of the moment. You're kind of there and you're trying to keep on track with a timer.
It's spontaneous. That was kind of a running theme to the whole event all weekend, was that, like, you know, anyone could pop up at any time. I will say that it was nice to see that Fanatics events have the same problem that other card show organizers have, other event organizers have, which is it's incredibly difficult to keep a crowd engaged unless you're giving away free stuff.
That's right.
So I think the vibe very much was not that we want to sit here and listen to kind of a 45-minute lecture on upcoming product releases. I think it was like more like, let's get Dana White on here and start throwing some packs at people, get some kids involved. So it was so funny at the time. It was like, I couldn't believe what was happening.
We just couldn't believe that we got through unlicensed basketball and we got through unlicensed football and what seems to be 6 to 10 products for both of them coming out. And we get to soccer and we're giddy and this is what we're in New York City for and we're delighted. And Dana White, it was like watching The Undertaker or John Cena pop out. It's like, oh no, Dana White from the top rope. And just like that, we're like, all right, no soccer for us, unfortunately. But no, it was brilliant. It was fun. It was a bit of crack. It was brilliant. We had a laugh about it. Would have loved to see the soccer. Would have loved to get the images of the F1 like that. I'm sure the F1 community feel even worse because at least we got kind of an insight into Topps Bold and we got some things before.
Yeah, we got a taste.
Dana White is coming. But it was good. The event, like, if I were to rate it out of 10, Jason, I'd be giving them no lower than an 8.
Right.
I'd be between 8 and 9, I would say, somewhere there.
Yeah. I think it was very interesting, like, because I felt very like a soccer fan at the event in terms of like I was very conscious that like these were not the sports that I'm primarily interested in. So that kind of I felt very much like an observer from that point of view. They had like the MLS trophy was there. They had Juve were there representing themselves. One of the NWSL teams, NY Gotham, was there, and a few. But I did feel very much like, okay, that's NFL stuff, that's NBA stuff, that's MLB stuff, UFC, WWE, all sorts of three-letter things. That's not really my cup of tea. So I felt very like that, and I also felt very European at it as well. To be honest, I was like, it's a very funny kind of cultural difference where it's like, I'm not even like when I'm rating this event, I'm not rating it as myself because that would not be fair. That would kind of be like to have somebody rock up to the running of the bulls or something like that in Spain, in Pamplona, and rate that. It's like, well, you could think, of course, you think this is mad, because you're not from here. But in terms of organizational stuff and as an attendee, the Wi-Fi was great. The food, I know, as you were saying about there was lines for some of the food places.
The food, like there was a lot of food options. The thing that annoyed me with the food was that you had to go and get your food and then go to a screen and check out, which I'd never done in my life, and is very clunky, mainly because the food is in your hand. So
that was ill thought out. But I will say the food options I really enjoyed because typically at a card show, like if there's everything from kind of just like you could grab like a wrap to like you get like hot dogs and stuff. We got like empanadas one of the days.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
You could get like, if you wanted to, I didn't, but if you wanted, you get like a fresh enough salad and stuff like that. So just in terms of like
everything.
Yeah, it was a great variety. It's obviously a top venue.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, Fanatics put on an event in a city center because I see everyone talking about the Wi-Fi, and the reason the Wi-Fi was so good was because the vast majority of the attendees were on data that worked, so it didn't even need to go.
You could use your log.
You're not in the middle of nowhere. You're not in, with all due respect to the National, you're not in Rosemont. You're not in Cleveland. You're not in Atlantic City. You're in a place that has AC, first of all, which is also very important. And your data worked. So if your data was working, I didn't even log on to the Wi-Fi for the whole thing. And I had no issues with the Wi-Fi because I was in a city center that was attached to civilization instead of in the middle of nowhere at a venue. So that was fine.
Yeah, I think it was brilliant, like to be able to, like we left and got lunch one of the days because you're in the middle of Manhattan, so you can just walk out and like and there was loads of hotels around. We were talking about this when we were in Cleveland, how we were in the IX Center out by the airport in Cleveland, even though there is a downtown Cleveland Convention Center of roughly the same size with loads of hotels. And I was like, you could have had like a great atmosphere in the city center, but they just refused to do that. So I just think all credit to Fanatics, who obviously are not stuck on budget, but all credit to them for going and spending the money to put us in a top location.
Fanatics, throughout this event, start to finish, it was very evident they put their hand in their pocket.
Yes.
And undoubtedly took a loss, quote unquote, on the event. Obviously,
they can't have made their money back.
No, they can't have made their money. There was
they're up overall.
They're up overall, definitely. Year on year, they're doing all right. But they couldn't have made money. But they didn't cut corners.
I don't think so.
There was a lot of talk that they had undersold it. The event, they didn't sell as much as they wanted to. I'm sure that is true because it was such a big center. But when I say like the place was full, like it was full, but when you walked in, you didn't have to line up. When you went to food or the bathroom, you didn't have to line up. But it was
the show floor was full, but the foyer area, the entrances and exits were fine. The venue wasn't overwhelmed.
It was like incredibly comfortable.
Yeah,
while still having a crazy atmosphere and having lots of people there. Like it was a perfect. Like it was a complete success. But I wanted to say this, Jason, right? Somewhere lost in the event because it's kind of like the idea of the event, I believe, was to market the hobby, right? I think it was kind of a 50-50. We want to market the hobby, and then the other 50% is we legitimately want to create a Comic-Con for sports fans.
Yeah, which are actually kind of sports fan experience show. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're different things. Like they're like, we're going to host the sports, but they're obviously trying to grow the hobby too. It made up about a third of the event, like in terms of space where the tables were. But it was like this kind of, I think it was kind of like, we want to host an event to grow the hobby. And then in that, Michael Rubin and his team realized they could just host a Comic-Con of sports fans. And wouldn't that be by itself cool? And I kind of went 50-50. But I think the fact that they really didn't spare, like they went big, they went as big as they can. They got like so many influencers, so many athletes, whether they were paid or not is kind of up in the air. People don't know. Like they assume they were. If they weren't, they definitely, there's so many, if pulling in a favor and getting it for free is still a payment because you don't have that many favors of that kind of
yeah.
But what I wanted to say was, because like we seen, and this is I don't want to pump ourselves here in a crazy way, but I'm about to get to it and then you'll understand what I'm saying. We also hosted an event in a city center convention center that was probably bigger than it should have been for a first event. And that as part of it, we had to drag people into the room that were not actually that familiar with the hobby, right? So I'm seeing parallels there, right?
Yeah.
We did not have the budget Fanatics had. And that comes back. How Fanatics, with the intention of trying to grow the hobby and cross-pollinate, didn't do the following two things.
Right.
One, there was nothing beyond the dealer tables. So if you're kind of not into cards, you never have a reason to walk past the dealer table. You can get to it and go, oh, these are cards, turn away. It's not like, oh yeah, these are cards, but at the other side of this, there's a basketball activation or whatever, right? And there's a variety of reasons why that might have been the case. As you were saying to me, Jason, it's like, if you put the basketball activation there, they might be feeling the hump. Kind of going, why am I here?
Yeah.
So that's actually acceptable. And like vendors might be like, I don't really want a load of randoms that are absolutely not interested walking by and filling up the space. So that's fine. The biggest issue I have with Fanatics Fest and what I thought was an unbelievably well-organized event. And I think this came from an event organization point of view where like it's as you almost forget what you're doing and why you're doing it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
How every person that walked into that building, regardless of what ticket tier they were at, didn't get a bag with packs in it makes absolutely no sense. How you don't just have the Fanatics Fest on one side, Topps on the other side, Topps attendee goodie bag, packs on the inside that you can actually hit some shit. Because they weren't shy of spending money. So 2 or 3 packs. Like we were able to do it at Dublin Card Show. They were able to do it. They baked it into the VIP thing, which doesn't grow the hobby, you know, because the VIPs are probably the hardcores.
Yeah, the only people you need to convince, like you don't really need to convince the VIPs. They already bought the VIP package.
What I'm saying is, you walk in, you don't really know what you're getting into. You know that iShow Speed might be there or whatever. Who was promoted, who wasn't. You get a goodie bag that says Topps on one side, Fanatics Fest on the other. There's a few packs on the inside. There's like an hobby glossary, which we've seen in Europe, which is kind of a how-to guide. Or if there's a little sheet of paper with Topps ripped and a QR code, if you want to learn about this, learn here. How do you not do that? Because it wasn't a cost thing. Do you know what I mean?
What that might do then is if somebody hits something, they then have to go to the card tables.
They have to walk up and
ask
go, hey,
about the card.
Or, as what happened in Dublin Card Show, people would see the packets and go, I'm actually not a Star Wars, Salzburg, or a Champions League fan. Would you buy these packs for me? I don't even want to open them. And then you're wheeling and dealing, and there's a bit of something going on. Like, it really didn't make any sense how that didn't happen. Like, that's like, for me, it's almost like you're thinking too much about the VIP package. What did the VIP get? Because it's not a cost thing, because they've treated, they've spent. Do you know what I mean? If it was a cost thing, there wouldn't be.
Clearly, it's not a cost thing. Yeah,
it's not a cost thing. So it was just like there's so many people that attend. How many people? This is the question. How many people attended that event that didn't know about the hobby, that left that event having not engaged at all with the hobby? Probably a lot.
Probably a lot.
Whereas the answer should have been 0.
Yeah, I think it is. I think of passive versus active. People talk a lot about this cross pollination stuff and all that kind of thing. But it's not just like these things don't cross pollinate by osmosis. You know, like the whole. Like cross-pollination, that term comes from the fact that you are pollinating this thing and then you're pollinating that thing. But that's because you're a bee, so you have some reason to go about pollination. This is like cross-pollination, except it's all blue bottles. There's no bees involved.
That's right.
So, like, you want to turn your Fanatics into your collectors, you got to turn your blue bottles into your honeybees. And
Jason doesn't wear a Mets hat for no reason.
Yeah, and you know, and I do agree. There could have been some more active encouragement of that cross pollination.
Because obviously they got Tom Brady to buy cards, they got Dana White to buy cards, they got Jake Paul to buy cards, they got Skeen's missus to buy cards. I've completely forgotten her name. So Libby Dunn. She's also like an athlete, which is why that's a terrible thing to say.
Jason, look, she goes out with Paul Skeens. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know, but she's not just win a gold medal. Am I often saying that? Was it a bronze? Was it a silver? I don't know.
I don't know. I did at the Olympics.
I don't know. I thought I seen it. Listen, I don't know who she is. My apologies, right?
Okay.
Can I say congratulations to them for getting an actual diverse crowd of people through the door as well, not just young, old, male, female, like across the board. people from different backgrounds, diversity in there. Like, I don't want to critique it, but it's like, Jesus Christ, that should have happened. Whether it was free packets or whether it was a little token to enter a break for free, and then at this point you go over there, you have your slot, and you're engaging. So it's like, that's obviously something they can work on, because again, it just wasn't a cost thing. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely was not a cost. Like, they could have felt, if we give free packs to everyone that walks through the door, is that bad for our vendor tables? But it definitely isn't, because as you said, if you give them packs that are worth the sand or worth the paper they're written on, someone is going to hit an autograph, which we seen in Dublin ourselves. Like, we had given out Stranger Things packs, which I think there's like 1 hit per box, but that meant that there was 10 packs per box. 1 in 10 people that got a pack from there were hitting an autograph, and then was coming up to us and going, "Hey, someone like literally hit an autograph from a free pack, figured out what grading was, sent it off for grading, and months later, only like a month ago, we were tagged in it going, 'Thanks for my freebie, I got it back from PSA.'" And I was like, they're in the hobby now. They understand some of it. Whether they stick or twist, that's out of everyone's control. But if we hadn't given them the packs, they're not doing that. So it's like, you have Topps Ripped, you have a hobby glossary, you have access to all of the packets in the world, and you have capital to do it, and you've got everyone there. You've done it. You've got everyone in the room. Have people just open and stuff going, "What's this?" Instead of like, you threw them out. Dana White didn't have to throw them out everywhere for people for free. We should have heard about soccer and F1, and everyone should have already had the packs.
Yeah. I agree.
But honestly, I agree. Jason, if you had a friend of yours say, "Hey, I just got into the hobby. I'm after buying 5 hobby boxes," not off of us because he's a bastard, and they went around and they're thinking about going to the States. They want to go to an event. They want to go. They're saying, "I want to go to the National in Chicago next year or the year after." Would you say go to the National in Chicago, or would you say go to Fanatics Fest in NYC next time it happens?
If they're a card collector, I would still tell them to go to the National.
Really?
Yeah. I think if you're, I'm assuming like if they're a soccer card collector, if they're an F1 collector, and if they're not particularly a fan of American sports, I would say go to the National, because the National is still a much bigger and better card show than Fanatics Fest. If I had a friend of mine who was a massive NFL fan, for instance, who loves the Pittsburgh Steelers or whatever, and is just like always staying up late to watch NFL games, watches the Super Bowl every year, all that kind of stuff, and kind of wants to be part of that American fan experience, and is also maybe opening a few boxes of, Prism Blasters or something for NFL, and wants to go to one of these things, I would say absolutely go to Fanatics Fest. Because if you're not a big card guy, you get all sorts of stuff that's fun apart from just the card thing. Yep. If you are a serious card collector, and especially if you're not an American sports fan, I wouldn't recommend Fanatics Fest over the National.
I would recommend what we just experienced over that. If you're just a casual fan, I would say if you're just a soccer collector, not hardcore, casual. I know, like, if you're going to fly to the States, you're relatively hardcore, right? But if you're a soccer, the only thing missing was like a proper designated area of card tables that are soccer, or a soccer trade night. Because if you send
but there was no soccer activations.
Well, there was the MLS. There was a few things with MLS, so it wasn't
right.
Crazy.
But the MLS is not the NFL.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if you want someone to kind of dip their toe in, are they not better off being in New York City, walking into a very pleasant environment, having the cool things happen? That I'm sure, you weren't interested in Travis Scott, but someone might be. There wasn't just the NFL players. But what I'm saying is,
I know,
you kind of dip your toe in, because if you got to the National without knowing anyone, you could very much see a load of vintage baseball tables and just be like, where am I? Like the Soccer Expo saves it for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's not the experience of the National itself doesn't, it's trade nights. The same for us for both years. It was trade nights and then the Soccer Expo that made it worthwhile. Apart from that, you couldn't recommend that for like an international person that's not interested in baseball, NFL, basketball. Sure.
I just don't, I don't know why, if someone's a card collector, they should go to the National. I don't like that's what I'm saying. I felt like a foreigner. I felt like a stranger at Fanatics Fest. This is not how I relate to sports. I don't relate to sports in a top-down way, And I think in general, I said this to you at the time. I do think there's a difference between American sports and soccer, in that in soccer right now, we have leagues talking about moving to different countries, playing a game in the States. We have more and more money being spent on television subscriptions, more money being spent on ticket prices, more corporate allocations for tickets. Soccer is a game that's been taken away from its fans, and more firewalls are being put up. American sports have that already. Have always had that firewall. Have always had that kind of hero worship of their quarterback and all that kind of stuff. So when they see Tom Brady or Kevin Durant or Ant-Man walking around, that's like, it's a celebrity culture. It's a hero worship culture. It's, oh my God, there's Travis Scott. He's better than me. This is brilliant. Whereas as a soccer fan, I think that these soccer clubs are primarily should be community organizations and should have commercial things built onto that. So Fanatics Fest is not how I experience sports. I like collecting cards. That's my kind of version of that. But it's not for me, and it's not for, basically, it's not how I experience sports fandom.
You're saying you couldn't take Fanatics Fest and set it up in Europe and have it be exactly the same as what we experienced?
No, and I think if you did, it would be, people would say, "Oh, that was very American." That's what people would say.
Okay.
It's just a cultural difference.
Okay, I get it. And that's why at the top of the show you said you were kind of rating it based on not yourself, but the kind of...
Oh yeah, like, because I've been to many nationals, and I've been to, like, we went to see the Mets at Citi Field, and we went to see the Guardians at Progressive Field, and I went to see the Orlando Magic play basketball last year, and so I understand to a certain degree what American sports is like as a fan. And as an American sports fan, Fanatics Fest is unbelievable. But in my opinion, that's because you have been told that you are primarily a consumer of these teams and not a member of this community.
That's because they're franchises, right? That's the main
exactly difference. Yeah. So that's my main critique. But I think in terms of location, food, Wi-Fi, toilet facilities, space, activations, celebrity appearances, like it's an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 easily.
Definitely.
So I completely recommend it if you're into that kind of thing. It's just not for me.
I get it.
Yeah. And I don't want anyone at Fanatics events, crying about this, because it's just a personal opinion, and I have a long history on this show of voicing these kind of opinions. So it's not a criticism. 10 out of 10 event, 9 out of 10 event, whatever. Just not how I necessarily think sports should be experienced.
For yourself.
I don't know. It's not how I think they should be experienced in general. But I realize that's not an opinion that's shared among people.
I had a great time. I much preferred it.
I had a very good time as well. We saw friends, like we saw a lot of people we knew. We had a few drinks with people. We went to the baseball game. I really enjoyed that. I had a good time, but I'm going there as someone who works in the industry.
Yeah.
So that's completely different. We're having meetings, all this stuff. It's not. I'm not just going there going, "Oh, what's this? Oh, geez, this is brilliant."
Fair. Like from my point of view, I didn't engage in any of the activations apart from the MLS one, just for a few photos. Like I wasn't hooping, I wasn't doing the 50-yard dash or 40-yard dash with Gronk.
Yeah, no, I didn't get spiked by Gronk onto a table full of cards. But I do think as well, like, if you're in that situation where you go to the National on your own, you go to a bunch of vintage baseball. If you go anywhere on your own, I don't think anyone from Fanatics Fest is necessarily stopping you and saying, "Hey, how are you? You look lonely. Would you like to come in and shoot this 3?
Get a 3-pointer. The WWE activation was obviously kind of the kind of star of the show. I think partially because obviously UFC fandom is a different thing, but I think it's like there was a ginormous screen and there was music. That's always going to increase the atmosphere of an area.
All singing, all dancing.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But a lot of people saying, like, our UFC card's going to go boom now. Our WWE card's going to go boom. This, that, and the third. I don't buy into that personally, but I think more so it's kind of like WWE looks like it fits into Comic-Con more than it does sports.
Oh, completely. And like I'm sure someone go and dig out the episode of the podcast where we talked about WWE Prism coming on board and all the reasons why WWE suits cards and all the reasons it doesn't. And it is kind of, it's halfway between, because it's sports entertainment, it's kind of, it is real, but it's not real. It's like, he's not actually a demon from hell, but he actually can do his ACL. It's like, imagine if Charizard could do his ACL. That's what wrestlers are. But I just want to say that it was great to see some people that we saw at Fanatics Fest. Obviously, people that we know that work there, but also a few of the guys that came over from Europe. And we saw Jesse from Sports Card Nonsense. That was excellent. And my personal highlight of the weekend, speaking of community, we got a text from Zach, who works at Skybox Collectibles, who are based in Connecticut. And he said, "Hey, I pulled this from a H2 Prism box last night, and I thought you guys, I know you're in New York. Do you want to come and do a deal for it?" And it was this 1/1 John O'Shea Prism autograph. Woof. Look at that. And I have a rule that I don't collect Irish players in their club kits, but I couldn't leave New York with John O'Shea still stranded there.
That's right. You have to bring him home.
So we went and we repatriated John O'Shea. And I want to say shout out to Zach and everyone at Skybox for that. That was excellent.
No, that was top. top stuff, Jason.
Yeah. So I had a great time.
Yeah, it was worth going over for. I think obviously it was a bit of crack. We didn't get 100%. To see too much of New York City, but we did make our way to the Empire State Building. Which, Jason, I have to remind you to download those images if you haven't already. There's an expiry date on that.
I was just looking at the hard copies, but I must get those soft copies downloaded.
Get those soft copies downloaded and sent across before it's too late.
Yeah. Another thing we did at Fanatics Fest, we went and we vaulted some big cards at Fanatics Collect.
That's right.
So the only other time we've done this, it was at one of the nationals where we went and submitted Makoku
with Golden. I was looking through the Golden marketplace, and I had trouble finding it because it's gone now.
Yeah,
and I was like, damn, because I was going to put them on Golden, and I remember the whole thing with like eBay, PSA, vault switching and swapping. I get confused. I'm very confused. But the Golden marketplace is not there. Golden is more of an auction house, which makes sense. So Fanatics Collect, which used to be PWCC. We decided to submit them there. We thought they were cards that better suited a kind of online platform where people trusted a lot more than they do eBay for kind of high ticket cards. So that's what we've done there.
And we met Nate from Fanatics Collect, and he looked after us. So I feel very confident.
That's right.
About those cards. They'll probably be going up for fixed price as opposed to an auction at this moment in time.
Yeah, fixed price is the plan, not auction.
Right. And of course, naturally, people messaged us and said, "Oh, are those cards for sale?" Just as we vaulted them. So that was great.
That's classic.
Okay, we're an hour and 20 minutes in. This is our longest podcast, about a year and a half.
It's our first one in about a year and a half too.
Feels like it. Do you have any closing thoughts on Dynasty or Fanatics Fest, or are you?
I know Fanatics Fest. They've talked about doing one in LA, potentially in March. So hopefully that doesn't clash with the Dublin Card Show, which is on the 1st of March. Apart from that, no. I'm pretty sure we'll probably end up going over again to NYC. Probably not LA, although I've never been to LA. I don't know. There's a lot to keep an eye on there in terms of the Fanatics events and where they go and where they don't go. There's been a lot of talk of it's going to be just card show ones that are not event ones and stuff like that. And as far as Dynasty goes, I think it's just kind of Wednesday today. See where we are Sunday night with what has come out, what hasn't come out, what things have sold for, if singles have sold. I don't know, just be careful if you want to get involved in the madness of Dynasty. Be very careful. If we're at a local card show near you soon and you've hit a Dynasty card, do not approach us with an unrealistic price or we will smite you down fast.
Yeah.
And apart from that, good luck to everyone that gets involved. And I don't know, I want to see if there's any cards in there for me, Jason. I'm not sure. There's a few Milan. There's obviously those Messi Barcelona.
We were talking to people over the weekend in NYC, and your collection is currently in flux.
My collection has become in flux, yeah. So basically, there's a few people I need to get back to. But more recently at the National, I picked up a couple of Pirlo 101s for a steal price off my good friend Scott at Soccer Cards HQ.
Yeah.
And I've basically just been a bit flustered and confused.
And those Pirlos were in an Italy kit, we should just say.
Italy kit, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So the big issue I have with the Milan kit cards are for players that are currently playing. So for example, Rafael Leao. I keep feeling like we're going to sell him soon, at which point I'm going to hate him. Because that's what I do. I know, if someone leaves, I despise them. Not despise them, but it's like I don't want to collect him. He's gone.
Are you telling the podcast listeners who definitely don't know this already that you're a bit vindictive?
I'm a bit vindictive, no doubt about it. Very much.
Not sure that's ever come across on the show before.
But yeah, so I kind of migrated mostly towards Italian cards.
Yeah.
Because you can never leave the national team, by choice. But the obviously there's some Milan cards that I still have a strong rapport to, especially if it's a legend and it's of the time. So basically I got really confused. I'm like, what am I trying to do? And more recently I've been basically just trying to go for high end. So basically 101s, they have to fit a certain criteria, which is like a 101 Leao I'm not really looking at because of that reason. But like a 101 Pirlo and Italy kit, I never have a reason not to buy, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the price. So I'm kind of going like 101, 105, 110, kind of higher end cards, especially kind of the older stuff, which is obviously really cool. But yeah, I've run into an issue now ever since Milan has rejoined the Champions League, Jason, that people hit cards that are like out of 49, and I've been offered about 35 of the 49 of them that have been hit. Yeah. And I always kind of, especially at card shows, I always feel like when I'm a Milan fan, I kind of have to, how could I not? But it's kind of like, it's not what I collect. You know what I mean? It's hard to look at a Milan card and go, I don't actually collect that. Why not? Why don't I? Da, da, da. So basically, I'm trying to just move.
Well, for instance, a couple of the Milan legends that now have autographs and patches and stuff like that are from before your time, so you're not really into it.
Yeah, there's some Berezzis that kind of pop up and stuff like that, and I'm just
Ruud Gullit,
yeah,
Van Basten.
Like Ruud Gullit they're both legends, complete legends, and I'm like class, but I'm not actively collecting them. I don't like Pirlo is like my number one because I watched him play for Italy and obviously Milan, and I forgive him for moving to Juventus. That's how much I love watching him play. But yeah, it is that kind of there's some confusion with my PC at the moment. But at the moment, I'm kind of going towards Italian kit that I've obviously watched play and I grew up with, and high end 101, 105, or like a beautiful patch or whatever will get the job done. But
this is not people's license to now that you've said that, to flood your DMs with stuff.
Yeah, it's like I kind of like to happen upon them as opposed to. I don't think I've ever really bought a card someone has DM'd me and said, "Here you go." I don't think I have.
Maybe a Frosinone card.
Normally they're gifts, which is really nice.
Maybe cards that you've heard about as opposed to cards that people own themselves.
I don't know.
All right, listen, that's all for now anyway.
Just be careful.
Just be careful out there. And remember, if you want to get the cards you want, usually the cheapest way to do that is to wait a good long time and then buy the singles.
That's right.
But in saying that, get involved. It's going to be mad.